In episode 2, as usual, Kamari was relaxing in her room. Vilhais then entered her room and informed her that today's agenda was a meeting with the executives of their troops. Actually, Kamari didn't want to, but Vilhais insisted and immediately changed Kamari's clothes. The meeting began and Kamari asked what they were going to do. Lieutenant Belius Inu suggested an endless war. Lieutenant Chastel Kant proposed that Kamari should join the battle. Captain Melikansi suggested a rap duel with Kamari. Kamari accepted their suggestions, but she argued that for now, everyone wanted to fight. Next, Vilhais continued with the presentation of Terra Kamari's gifts as an appreciation for their previous victory against La Pellico Kingdom. Terra Kamari was surprised, as she had just learned about this session. Lieutenant Chastel Kant took the opportunity to take pictures of Kamari's cuteness with his camera. Actually, he wanted Kamari to wear the outfits he had prepared, namely the maid outfit, swimwear, and school uniforms, but of course, Kamari flatly refused that request. As for Belius Inu, he postponed his request for the time being. Captain Melikansi, of course, challenged Kamari to a rap battle, a challenge that Kamari successfully completed. The scene continued with Chastel walking with Belius, discussing Terra Kamari, who they still considered a mystery. Chastel read secret documents from the Imperial Court, mentioning that an attack from the Imperial Academy had caused chaos in the Empire 3 years ago. The suspect in that incident was Terra Kamari. According to the report, there were 30 casualties from the Academy's side and 70 deaths from the Imperial Army, all slaughtered with just a pinky finger, exactly as Vilhais had declared to depict Kamari's power. Belius then realized that the actual perpetrator of the incident was someone else. Chastel explained that the one who had originally been identified as the perpetrator, Terra Kamari Gondasblood, had been changed to Millicent Blue Knight, with no connection to the incident whatsoever. They both arrived in the courtyard of the royal palace, but noticed someone who shouldn't be there, a masked woman. The woman mentioned that the palace's security was tight, and she had originally planned to sneak into the Empress's private castle and assassinate her. However, she couldn't get in due to the protective walls. She had intentions of killing the Empress, but not at this moment. Chastel then asked why she had come there. The mysterious woman replied that she just wanted to check a few things. She had read in the newspaper that Terra Kamari Gondasblood had become a Crimson Lord, and she wanted to make sure of it. Upon hearing this, Chastel promptly launched an attack towards the mysterious woman with his magic, but she managed to evade it. Belius also attacked her repeatedly with physical strikes, but the woman could evade his attacks as well, floated in the air, bid farewell, and disappeared under the moonlight. Belius was worried because the woman was targeting Kamari. Chastel, on the other hand, responded with resignation, saying there was nothing he could do unless he received a foot-licking ticket reward from Kamari, in which case he would willingly take the initiative to handle it. Belius agreed to this. Chastel was surprised because he thought that Belius also wanted a foot-licking ticket reward. Belius then argued that he agreed with the initiative part, not the foot-licking part. The next morning, Vilhais woke Kamari up from her sleep. When she opened her eyes, Kamari was surprised because Vilhais was only wearing an apron. Kamari then asked if Vilhais had no shame. Vilhais firmly replied that she had no shame. As usual, Vilhais had an agenda for Kamari. However, Kamari still wanted to laze around in her room. Vilhais then tried to persuade Kamari by reminding her that today she had an agenda to choose her wild animal. With enthusiasm, Kamari finally arrived at the stable for the wild animals. There were many wild animals there: unicorns, dragons, frogs, alligators, snakes, and so on. Kamari was very excited to see them, but deep down, what she really wanted was a magical beast. Her eyes were drawn to a magical beast among them. Without hesitation, Kamari attempted to pet it. The stable keeper tried to shout a warning to Kamari not to get too close. But it turned out that the magical beast, a dragon, immediately became friendly with Kamari. The dragon was a Mizuchi from the Enchanted Lands, and among the other animals, it had the highest quality. The keeper said that the dragon could only become close to a young girl. Kamari had made her choice. She then went outside to ride it. Quickly, Kamari and her dragon soared into the air. On the other side, Kamari's troops were engaged in combat training. There, Johann was also present, someone who had been defeated by Kamari before. He was still very angry and eager for revenge. Not far from there, Kamari, who couldn't control her dragon, soared rapidly in Johan's direction. Accidentally, the dragon's foot moved quickly towards Johan's head. Finally, the dragon was able to land, but Kamari was thrown forward and into the air. Naturally, she was very frightened, but fortunately, Vilhes was there to catch her. All of Kamari's troops were amazed to see her riding a magical beast at an incredible speed. Cutest approached Kamari and invited her to join their training, but Kamari declined, fearing that they would all die because of her strength. Vilhes agreed, as he saw Johan lying defeated before he even challenged Kamari. It turned out that Johan was still alive, albeit in a very angry state. He attempted to attack Kamari directly with his magic, but with Vilhes' assistance, Kamari managed to evade, and Johan fell to the ground. Kamari was still wobbly from her earlier encounter with the dragon and accidentally poked both of Johan's eyes, causing him great pain. Seeing this, Vilhes suggested that Kamari declare her victory. Johan could still rise, albeit with bleeding eyes, and firmly challenged Kamari to a duel. Of course, Kamari didn't expect this to happen, but she couldn't refuse. The next day, everyone gathered at the duel arena between Kamari and Johan. Kamari was already in the arena, with a communication device attached to her ear. Vilhes watched from a distance and guided her. Vilhes promised Kamari that she would surely achieve victory. Johan entered the duel arena, pale and unsteady. Vilhes reported that she had poisoned Johan's food. Johan's determination was strong, and he refused to give up, making a desperate effort to approach and attack Kamari. From a distance, Vilhes instructed Kamari to act as if she were using magic. Kamari nearly flicked her fingers, as if demonstrating her power to her troops. True to her action, when she flicked her fingers, a very large hole suddenly appeared beneath Johan, and he fell into it. Everyone watching was in awe of what had just transpired. Kamari, still confused, then received an explanation from Vilhes that she had dug those large holes there last night. Vilhes had prepared 52 holes in the arena. Unexpectedly, Johan could still rise and was still eager to attack Kamari. Vilhes also explained that there were no holes between Kamari and Johan now. It might be just bad luck. Kamari became extremely panicked as Johan got closer. Suddenly, there was a massive explosion right in front of Kamari. Vilhes explained that it was a landmine. She had planted 69 of them there. After the blast, Johan appeared badly injured, but he didn't give up and kept crawling towards Kamari. However, before he could reach Kamari, Johan fell unconscious. Kamari finally declared her victory. After the battle, Kamari tried to calm herself with a soak in a hot spring. While stretching her body, Kamari muttered to herself, thinking that she should thank Vilhes. Suddenly, Vilhes appeared in front of her and said that she wanted Kamari to show her gratitude with her body, not just words. Vilhes immediately lunged at her and began pressing her body against Kamari. Kamari tried to evade as much as possible because she knew that Vilhes must be in pain in her hand, and she checked it. Vilhes tried to hide her wound, but Kamari insisted that she tell her everything. Vilhes said that she had dug all those large holes in the arena with a shovel. Vilhes did it all with her hands because the only magic she could use was poison. Kamari deeply appreciated Vilhes' hard work because if she hadn't done that, Kamari might have died by now. Kamari expressed her gratitude to Vilhes. Kamari then asked why Vilhes was so attached to her. Vilhes replied that Kamari possessed a beauty that only comes once every million years. Kamari wasn't satisfied with that answer and suspected that there was another, more special reason. Gathering her courage, Vilhes admitted to having committed a crime. Kamari replied that she already knew all about it. Vilhes was very surprised, not expecting Kamari to be aware. But Kamari continued, saying that the crime she was referring to was Vilhes' sexual harassment of her. Upon hearing that, Vilhes just smiled and then fell silent. Elsewhere, Johan was getting drunk in a bar. He held a deep grudge against Kamari. There was a masked woman next to him who had previously tried to enter the palace. She overheard Johan's words and attempted to strike up a conversation with him. The woman also knew that the man beside her was Lieutenant Johan from the Imperial Army. Johan was curious about her identity. The woman revealed that she was Millicent from the Sublime Inverse Moon and proposed a partnership to Johann. The next day, Kamari was signing autographs for her troops as a reward for their victory in the battle. Villiers mentioned that Kamari had received an invitation to a party from the Empress, who wanted to congratulate her on her success. Kamari reluctantly attended the invitation, accompanied by Villiers and Bellius. The Empress approached Kamari and inquired about her new role as the Crimson Lord. The Empress was impressed because Kamari had managed to defeat 4 other nations in a relatively short time. She expressed relief, recalling that 3 years ago, Kamari used to confine herself to her room and might have found it difficult to socialize. However, Kamari's father had successfully bet that she would leave her room if forced to become a Crimson Lord. Kamari was shocked to hear this. The Empress then tried to reassure Kamari, saying that she was not alone now, she had many reliable friends, and many people loved her. The Empress also reminded Kamari not to fall into despair again, like 3 years ago. Kamari remembered her dark times 3 years ago when she could only cower in front of those who bullied her. Suddenly, a masked woman from behind called her name and invited her to have a conversation. This episode concluded.